go. We'll just go with it.
Oh, you don't want to do it. You're not feeling it?
I was working in the downtown east side serving low-income folks. I was walking to work one day and
He wants to get in the stroller soon.
someone had run out of a building with a machete and they were running towards me. I had thought that they were coming after me, but had soon realized that they were chasing the person behind me. I was a little bit traumatized by it after that, and so I was kind of at a crossroads in life and, with what I wanted to do, and so I went to a ceremony and I had a vision of opening up a bookstore. I wanted to surround myself with joy and stories. Books have always kind of been that place for me. Before COVID happened, we weren't too busy. We didn't sell too many books online.
Went to somebody's house a few days ago.
We did have quite a few events. We had concerts, we had poetry readings, we had book launches, we had art shows. In our short life, we've donated over $65,000 to local charities and initiatives and participated in over 400 events within our community. People have always known that they could come to us for books and stories written for and by over-excluded authors, Black, Indigenous, racialized, gender nonconforming, queer, and trans authors. Massy Books has the largest collection of Indigenous material in a storefront space in Vancouver. We get a lot of people coming in asking for specific books about their nation, about their land. If you know anything about the history, records were destroyed by the church. 200,000 documents alone were destroyed by Indian Affairs between 1933 and 1945. And also, history in general is written by settlers. It's very easy, for instance, in my family, on my dad's side, who is European English, to go back to 900 AD, and have that history there, have the family tree. But on my mom's side, I can only go back to 1900. This is a portrait of my mom when she was 15 or 16. She had won a competition at the local friendship center. She was required to make her own regalia, her own dress, and answer questions about Canada.
My mom never knew how to read or write till she was 68, I think. She read me her first book. Look, Spot, run. See Jane run. It was a proud moment for her.
Yeah. My mom left when I was 3 years old. Something out of her control. And so for a large portion of my life, I was raised by my dad. But my dad was always good about telling us where we come from and telling us that we're Indigenous. Part of the reason why I wasn't raised by my mom is because of, colonization. Without kind of divulging too much of her own story, without having her permission to kind of relay what happened to her. All I can say is that I don't hold my mother accountable or responsible for doing what she needed to do to protect us. A lot of Indigenous people were taken from their families.
And to Melissa, my dear, safe journeys. And now you're with your late sister, Charlene, and you can please watch over your 3 beautiful children.
A lot of Indigenous people were displaced because of residential school, migration, and the foster care system. There's ways to celebrate indigeneity in the city. I've always known that I've been Indigenous, and I've always kind of celebrated it the way that I know how. I was surrounded by books growing up, you know. My dad was an avid reader, always had a book in his hand. I definitely got my love of reading from him. In 2019, my dad got cancer and ended up passing away. And that was right before COVID happened. He wanted to die in his basement of his house, looking out the window, surrounded by family, and that's exactly what he got. We were all standing around him, singing him songs, and he departed while we were all there, kind of holding on to him. It was just the most beautiful thing I've ever been a part of in my entire life. Shortly after that, in February of 2020, COVID was happening. Because Massy Books is situated in Chinatown, and there was a lot of racism around COVID and the Chinese community, people were avoiding the neighborhood, and we saw a drastic decline in sales. One night I was having dinner with a friend. I had thought to myself, I'm just gonna announce that we're doing free shipping to kind of get us through this period so that, you know, we can make sales the best way that we can. Immediately, it was like overnight, our business tripled. From that moment on, the bookstore has never been the same. We saw more sales, online sales, in the month of June in 2020 than we did for all of 2019. I worked myself. I worked 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day. I was puking every day. I was puking while I was at work. I discovered that I was pregnant.
What time is it? Maybe I should feed him quickly.
We had to hire more and more staff.
Yeah, apparently it happened at Paper
Kind
Mart,
of,
too.
in such a short amount of time, have had to reinvent ourselves, but all the while being a store that still does what we value.
Yeah, you gonna buy some books?
Which is promoting uplifting and celebrating the stories of over-excluded authors. You know, being raised by a father who was a union leader, who informed me of wage rights, I've always wanted to provide a living wage. Decolonizing our store, it's something that I'm working on. You know, I've got this leadership coach, Indy Bath, that I'm working with.
We've been talking about some visioning for the team.
You know, what the last 2 years has really shown us is that there's a real need for personal and collective transformation. 2 years from now. 2 years from now. A world that needs drastic systemic change. There's a really great quote by Dr. Perry, who wrote a book called What Happened to You? And he says that relationships are the currency of change. How I am in relationship with my staff and the community is not just a way to run a business. It's a way of changing, you know, the world around me and the world that I live in into one that I want to leave behind for my son.